Hi everybody, it's Damian here, tax partner at Cooper Parry. This will form one of a number of podcasts and webinars that can all be found on Cooper Parry's website, where we'll be giving further insight into COVID and the support offered by government at present to your businesses. So I'm going to be spending a couple of minutes talking about VAT and stimulus measures that the government have put in place to support you, and also some measures that you can think about yourselves as well in the short and medium term. So turning first to the payment holiday, which you may all be aware of, this is a VAT payment holiday running to the 30th of June. And based on questions that we've had, I just wanted to run through a few points of interest. Firstly, let's just be clear on this. It's payments owing during the period to 30th of June. It's not VAT return periods ending during that period. So for example, if your VAT return ends on June 30th, then it's going to become payable the next month. So that will not be within the deferral period, and the amount of VAT owing on that return will be due to be paid. So this is all about payments that you have owing during this period. It covers your VAT return payments and also any payments on account that you might make during that period as well. Another question I've been asked is about import VAT. Import VAT isn't covered under the deferral regime. Import VAT will continue to be due, and I think that makes sense. So if you think domestic suppliers are still obliged to charge you VAT, and I think if they deferred import VAT, then that may create difficulties with supply chain, with people going abroad for their supplies and so on. So that makes sense. The second point to note is that it doesn't cover your mini one-stop shop payments. So that's where you make payments through a UK VAT return, which are then paid by government to other overseas territories. They're not covered either. There may be other reliefs in other countries which we could look at on a case-by-case basis for you. So the overall position is that a VAT holiday will cover your VAT payments, which are then due and payable by the 31st of March next year, 2021. And that's the other point that I just want to pick up on. There's been some debate about when the payment will need to be remitted to revenue. Just to be clear, it is the 31st of March. That's the deadline. It's not the end of the VAT return period within which the 31st of March falls. There's been some confusion about that, and it's been cleared up that it is the 31st of March. Okay, so that's the main point to note. The other point is just to mention that you don't have to take advantage of the deferral. There are some supply chains where some suppliers may wish to continue to pay their VAT, and that's absolutely fine. The mechanism to take advantage of the deferral is by cancelling your direct debit. Okay, so if there's one action that you need to be doing at present if you want to take advantage of the deferral, and that is cancel any automated payments that will go to HMRC otherwise potentially this week. Okay, and the reason you have to cancel it is if you don't, then they'll just assume you're not taking advantage of the deferral. Okay, so that's the absolutely key takeaway from me at this stage. Okay, so as we're moving towards the end of the deferral period, you may find yourselves now thinking about how you're going to pay that VAT back. Obviously, you've got your wider VAT payments to pay post the deferral period, as well as saving up to have the cash ready to pay the debt on the 31st of March next year. So you may find some difficulty during that period. You'll have other tax liabilities to pay, whether it be CT or PAYE, along with the VAT as well. So if you are facing some difficulty, or you sense that you may be, then there's another opportunity to support the VAT position, and that's to approach HMRC to agree a time to pay arrangement, which will offer you hopefully a number of months to balance the books and take a little bit of pressure off you as you try to get yourself back in order as we move towards the 31st of March in the case of VAT. So in that, my message would be to start thinking about your cash flow at this stage, not just for the next few weeks as you come to the end of the deferral period, but also potentially up to a year, because you've got to take account of all those additional payments on top of your normal trading patterns as well. When you're approaching HMRC for a time to pay arrangement, traditionally they're quite difficult to agree. HMRC will often expect you to sweat your supply base a little. They'll want to understand what debt finance you have available and so on. We're hopeful HMRC will be a little more lenient, and certainly we're seeing that in cases of PAYE. We've heard about clients who've been successful agreeing time to pay arrangements over the phone, which is great to hear, and it's great to hear that HMRC are hopefully engaged and understanding the pressures that you're under. My concern is that the government itself isn't a bottomless pit, and I worry that as time goes by, time to pay arrangements may be a little more difficult to come by, or you may need to go through more of a traditional route, as would normally be expected when agreeing them. So I think it would be wise to start thinking about your cash flow and seeking some guidance and support if needed, just to make sure you can have the best and most powerful conversation with HMRC at the right time. That's not just for VAT, it's for wider tax. And I think also the message in that is to just think about the timing of any approach to HMRC. Do you try it now for PAYE during the VAT deferral period, or do you wait? Do you wait to the end of the VAT deferral period and look at everything as one? All comes down to your cash flow and just thinking wisely about that and strategically as you move towards the end of the year and into 2021. Okay. Other measures I just want to pick up on outside of the VAT holiday and time to pay arrangements, that VAT offers a great opportunity just to play with timings, look at your internal accounting function, just to see if you can create some additional cash flow benefits just through your normal working patterns. So some simple examples of that: if you issue a request for payment instead of a formal VAT invoice, then you're not going to trigger a tax point straight away. So that may take some of your supplies into a later VAT period, thus creating a cash flow advantage there. You may agree with a supplier to pay them a couple of days earlier, or ask for an invoice a couple of days earlier, and that might therefore allow you to recover the VAT some 3 or 4 months earlier in an earlier VAT return and so on. You can also look at estimated input tax accruals for invoices that you've yet to receive on your system. It may be an opportune time to think about claims that you've not made, which could go back and unlock cash for a period of up to 4 years. You could think about your customs duty, look at whether you're paying too much import customs duty, have you got your classifications correct, and so on. We've come up with a whole host of ideas which are on Cooper Parry's website, on the COVID website, so I'd invite you to have a look at those, have a think about them, and think about whether you need any support. If you do, then please do pick up the phone. Finally, just another couple of points from me. We've noted that the Department for International Trade is supporting businesses, helping them when they come to export, helping them understand if there are any alternative supply chains available, supporting them with customs clearances into different countries and so on. That was a little hidden, in my view, from the Department for International Trade, but they could be quite powerful, offer some powerful support for you. And also UK Export Finance is another organisation that are working with banks to offer support to your customers overseas to facilitate you supplying them with your products and services. Again, quite hidden. So we've given more details on our website, where with contact details as well for how you can maybe get in touch with those organisations who can support you as well. So we'll keep you updated. Do invite you to have a look at the website, get in touch if you need to, and fingers crossed we can all get through this as quickly as we can. And just want to finish by wishing you all the best of health, and for you and all your families, just stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all in person, hopefully as soon as possible. Okay, many thanks.